a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then a little bit longer before that, we're going to go, apparently, according to news stories and rumors and reports, for new movies. So how about that, guys? Welcome back. This is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John. Thanks so much for joining us today. Well, we'll get to that in a minute, what that's all about. But apparently new Star Wars movies are coming, and they're taking place even a longer time ago in the same galaxy that's far, far away. But where you are right now, you're in the Resistance base because the base is open. It's time to podcast. As with me as always, James and Lacey. Guys, we have some cool stories to talk about today. A little touch on the little Make Solo 2 happen. Excited to always hear, even if it's a light sprinkling of stuff about what's going on with the actors involved in Solo and the future of that. Obviously, rumors about future Star Wars movies and some, animated series, that sort of thing. But I'm kind of glad to be back on our regular slate. Like, we picked up Thursday with our discussion. We did the Finn thing. I had a lot of fun with that. I'm looking forward to this Thursday talking about Poe Dameron. But the new show, I like that because I was worried coming out of episode 9 that like it'd be a stone wall of just like crickets, like nothing to talk about. And there's some cool news to get into. So I think our Monday show is going to be all right. But are you guys as glad to be back on our normal rotation as I am? Because it seems like it's been a while since we did our standard Monday show.
I think the average or the normal or the episodes that we did that were a little bit different were like exactly the amount that was like justified, because I even had a friend who, knows me personally but listens to the show and was like, after that Monday episode came out, he's like, so when are you guys going back to your normal thing? And I'm like, it'll be this Thursday,
Yeah,
it's true.
So I think it was like just that perfect amount where they were like, it was good, but I'm kind of hoping they're back. All right, good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Lacey, you put together the Resistance Transmissions episodes, and I did. I think people had fun with that, and they also enjoyed our look back and things. But are you're glad to be back on our regularly scheduled programming?
Yeah, it's funny that James brought that up because I had a couple of people say that to me too. Be like, so like, you guys are going to talk about like new stuff, right? Like you're ready to, and I was like, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Just the holidays. Give us 1 week,
Right.
one time to
and we didn't even take like a week off. Really,
we didn't. It was a half
week.
week. Yeah.
Because we also did the Mando
I didn't take
fan
any
show.
break.
Right. We did the Mando fan show. None of us took a break. We did that as well. That continued. Which, if you haven't checked it out yet, or if you're just getting around to The Mandalorian, or if you're in the UK or somewhere else that doesn't have it yet, and you haven't broken the law, and you're going to wait till March to watch it, go back. You can check out the playlist, The Mando Fan Show, on our YouTube channel and our podcast feeds, and catch up on our episodes there. We had great guests and a great time. But you know what? I kind of thought of these episodes like the Resistance Transmissions Best Of and the Look Back and Look Ahead as like when your favorite like sitcom has the best of clip show, and you're like, oh, it's the clip show one. Like, all right.
That's how I proposed the whole Resistance Transmissions to them, to James and John, was like, like when shows have like best ofs, it just gives us a chance to like highlight some of the fans and stuff. Which, by the way, that was one of the funniest episodes because I don't want to sound like self-centered and be like, I'm so funny, but it's like when I hear people laughing, I laugh, even if it's myself. And I just found myself laughing a lot.
So you laughing made yourself laugh?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
What kind of ego on this one?
It's not an ego.
Wait, Lacey, stop laughing, because when you listen back to this, you're going to start laughing.
I'm sorry.
Wait till...
I don't know, it's just people laughing. It's like when guys cry, I immediately start crying.
Oh.
I don't know why. Like, especially like old men. Like Han Solo, if he was to cry, I would cry.
You know what would make me double cry?
If I kept talking.
Well, that's one thing. I don't like seeing old people at like restaurants eating by themselves.
Oh my God, yes.
So if I saw that and then that person was crying,
imagine if Han Solo was crying by himself at a restaurant.
Well, Han Solo can take care of himself. Except when he's standing in front of his son with a lightsaber.
Okay, you don't have to like go into a deep dive of who Han Solo is at lunch.
Star Wars?
Ray does every
Ray
scene.
Ray cries a lot. Yeah. Chewie cried.
Chewie didn't cry.
He cried? Sure.
No, I mean like tears.
Yeah, Finn cried, right?
His eyes like kind of welled up, but I don't know if he like actually like tears came down his face.
Anakin cried.
Oh, Anakin did cry.
Padme cried.
Padme cried.
I think every character cried.
I don't know, guys.
Palpatine cried.
I think of like when
he's like, I'm so
Anakin
ugly
cried,
now.
and I'm like, I don't. Did he have tears or was he just like upset?
Who?
Anakin.
Anakin had the single tear.
No, he straight up cried.
When he was at full
might be thinking
on
of
Mustafar.
different scenes.
No, he was on Mustafar.
I'm thinking of when he's in Tatooine and he's like, I killed him and I slaughtered him.
That's cried there too.
Crying. Yeah, he does cry there. Yeah.
But he had tears?
He had wetness underneath.
And then he did the old actor's trick where they can't bring themselves to cry, so they bury their head in their arms and just go like this. They like move their head like
yeah,
they're
that's
crying.
a famous actor's trick.
Easy, Baney. All right, so it's good to be back though. Either way, none of us are crying right now, which is good. I guess.
Not yet.
Yeah, but I did cry during The Rise of Skywalker, and that's the only Star Wars movie that made me.
I know
cry,
you've told us.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of The Rise of Skywalker, we heard from JOONAS, so let's. Well, we didn't hear from him, but someone did, and then we wrote about it. But let's send it to James now for this week's. It's back, baby. The Resistance Report. What's up, man?
It's the Resistance.
Yep. So as you alluded to a little bit before, we got this story with JOONAS SUOTAMO, and we got some other rumored stories. But before we get to all the rumors, before we get to what we think is going to happen and speculate, let's talk about what kind of is happening, and that's just the fact that this guy's awesome, right? You know, he did this interview with Hollywood Reporter, and like I said, it was JOONAS SUOTAMO, and he plays Chewbacca, and it was a not only did we get the article itself, but you know, the article on Star Wars Newsnet kind of breaks down exactly like the main points and why this is a good article here. John, you wrote this, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's right, because it has Make Solo 2 all through it.
What?
No, but
you know how like I make myself laugh? John just looks for ways to work in Make Solo 2 happen into everything that he does.
And when he comes up with a really good joke, it's like on every platform. It'll be like in the chat, and then it'll be on Twitter, and then it'll be said on the show.
You gotta try it out in some spots, man.
All right, yeah.
They're never good.
Well, John, take it away on this one.
About
Tell me a little bit about what happened in this article, and you know, spend a little time with JOONAS.
All right, so yeah, where to start? I just liked his anecdotes in terms of his experience throughout this saga. He's been Chewie for 5 years now. He started on The Force Awakens, which might still be a little confusing for some people on how much he did because Peter Mayhew was credited and on set, but JOONAS did about like 97% of Chewie's work in that movie too. So he's been Chewie for 4 movies now, complete, which is a big deal. And I went through, IMDb has a great feature for, which James, I think you pointed out to me that this existed, screen time for each character. Mm-hmm. And JOONAS has now been on screen as Chewie, thanks to Solo and these movies, the same amount of minutes as Peter Mayhew.
To the minute?
Yeah, about 41 minutes each.
That's awesome.
As Chewbacca. So the next time JOONAS comes back, he will have been the most on-screen Chewie that we've seen in Star Wars. So we're hoping to get him back, obviously, and preferably in a Solo follow-up. But I just like some of the things he talks about. He's such an earnest guy. Like, I haven't had a chance to meet him myself. I know, James, you spoke to him. Lacey, you ran the convention at Awesome Con where he was involved in. But he just seems like a very genuine, down-to-earth guy. I think they hit the nail on the head when they brought him in to replace Peter and bring that energy. Right now, I think, aside from maybe Boyega, he's been the best ambassador for the fan connection for Star Wars actors and characters. But
the best was when Boyega was doing photo ops and JOONAS surprised him and just walked into the photo op.
Yes.
And Boyega was like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, it was very cute.
One part I have to bring up out of here, which was my favorite, as I mentioned in the article, was him and Harrison Ford.
This was my favorite part, but I'll give it to you.
Do you want it? You can say it.
No,
That's
you
fine.
you can go. Go ahead.
All right. So JOONAS was kind of doing this thing where JJ said he's in the cockpit, and so is Harrison Ford as Han Solo, just like Han and Chewie always are. And he had to turn around to look back at Finn to like growl and say something. And JOONAS, like a Shakespearean actor, said, JJ, what's my motivation for this scene? And Harrison Ford just goes, it's for the money, stupid. Just like deadpan. Like the only person who could get away with saying something like that and still be like loved is Harrison Ford with his like grumpiness, but in a joking around sort of
and
way.
you know they don't really know each other. He's just like the kid that's sitting in for Peter, and he still was like stupid.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, obviously the Make Solo 2 Happen stuff, James, like you said. He kind of said, if we ever return to Solo, I've been in touch with Alden. We still chat once in a while. We haven't hung out since the premiere, which kind of surprised me, but not so much, I guess. He said, if
Alden's
we ever return
on his own sometimes.
Yeah, right. And he has a family and that sort of thing. And I'm sure their careers obviously went in different directions. But he said, if we ever return to Solo, I can't wait to work with him again. So, that is great to hear. Obviously, they had a good working relationship. And for the fact that he said if we return to Solo, he doesn't need to be saying these things. And, Lacey, you had pointed out that there was a certain period of time where he was using Make Solo 2 Happen actively, and it is just
legit
stopped.
Every single tweet, every single post.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys think? Make Solo 2 happen? Like the cute way he does that. Like, what do you guys think of this? Am I right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was just like, it stopped.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot more to dig into here. I want to obviously give you guys stuff to tear away at here. So, I mean, there's a bunch.
I have a favorite part. It was, the question was, when Poe and Finn rescue Chewie on Kylo's destroyer, Chewie seems surprised by the fact that they came to rescue him. Yeah, Poe responds, of course we came to rescue. And I really liked the way that JOONAS answered the question, because he kind of has two answers to it, but neither one of them in a weird way was like the way that I thought Chewie thinks, because I just think he thought like a normal person. But it really goes to show that he is going beyond just like playing the roles and playing the lines, and he knows what to say here, so he says the line. It's actually more of like him going through a process of like, I think this is how Chewie sees people.
Yes.
I think this is how Chewie interacts with people that aren't of his own species, and things like that. And I was like, oh man, that's like, in a weird way, like only someone who is playing the character needs to like really deep dive could understand it from that point of view, unless you're just like, really trying to understand who Chewbacca is.
Right.
But that had never occurred to me. And the answer, by the way, the one that surprised me is he says, I think Chewie lives in the moment sort of like dogs do. I don't think he puts heavy emphasis on expectations like humans would. So I was like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, especially when you have such a long span of life. I was trying to do some math on that earlier, like 30 years to him is like 6 years to us. So
yeah.
Right.
Or something along those lines. So, yeah, double check my math on that. But yeah, that was my favorite part. What about you, Lacey? You already said the Han Solo thing, but anything else in this article stick out?
Yeah, the Han Solo thing was definitely my favorite part. But another part that stuck out to me was because when we walked out of The Rise of Skywalker, my number one of my top moments was Chewie's reaction to Princess Leia dying, General Organa. That was the one moment in the movie. I know, John, you teared up with Han Solo and Kylo Ren, but like the first time I saw the movie, the moment that I did have that like gut, like, oh God reaction was Chewie's like drop to his knees, yell moment, because that's the end. They're all gone now. Han, Leia, and Luke are all gone. So it's interesting to hear him talk about that, because I feel like everybody talked about how awesome that moment was. Every review, no matter they liked it or not, said that moment was one of their favorite moments in the movie. And it gave Chewie that moment that a lot of people critiqued in TFA, which he also discusses in this article of, oh, why didn't Leia hug Chewie? And he said Chewie was just worried about Finn.
Yeah.
Again, going back to what James says, I think he does think like Chewie. He's played it for so long now that he's like in the mindset of what Chewie would do. But I just really loved how he talked about how he was an emotional wreck underneath the costume and how sweaty he was, and he was having issues with the mask, and he was like having a nervous breakdown, which I always have nervous breakdown, so I felt for that. But the idea that he said that everybody was tense on set, that day was a rough day kind of for everybody filming, because obviously Carrie is no longer with us. And he said it had a different weight to it because when he worked with Han, he knew Harrison was going to be there at the end of the day, that he could talk to him. So this was like kind of bringing up those emotions. And he says that it's still hard for him to watch today. It's hard for us too, Jonas. It is a tough scene to watch, Chewie. But yeah, I'd have to say that that's my other favorite part in this article, is when he talks about that.
That is
I'm gonna go
great scene.
I'm going to go totally off topic. There is a band that we used to tour with called Architects. And when we toured with them, their drummer and their guitar player were twins. And it was almost, it was really hard to tell the difference between the two of them. Only after, numerous tours with them that it started to get to a point where I was like, you're Tom, right? But after I was out of the band, Tom was diagnosed with cancer and passed away. And they did a video in kind of in his honor. And his brother was playing him, and it was about him in the afterlife thing. And when I read this story, I would about how Chewie was reacting to Leia, and they're talking about this character, because this person, when you're watching the video, you're like, that's Tom, but it's not really him. You know what I mean? It's done in a way where this other person is kind of bringing Tom back to life. So when you're watching the video, it's got to be super emotional on the set too, because everything they're filming is supposed to be him, but he's not there, So it really reminded me of that event, and the way that this one of my favorite bands handled something kind of similar. So
yeah, that's not to steer away from Jonas, but that's exactly what Billy Lord did, filming the scenes with as Leia. So
as her mom,
this movie's loaded with so much emotion, and Jonas brings up the metal part where Maz, which was an animatronic thing, hands him the medal, and he said, I don't know that was Han's, but I assume it is. They didn't tell me that it was. And then the visual dictionary confirms that it was his hero medal from A New Hope. So I thought it was interesting that they didn't say this is Han's medal, but that moment,
because I think they wanted it to be both.
Yeah, sure, that works.
Yeah.
But that moment got me too. It's at the very end of the movie. It's kind of Chewie's last thing, and it's kind of one of those things where he's reunited with Han in a way through that symbol, but he also gets his recognition, like the Cowardly Lion gets his medal at the end of Wizard of Oz, sort of thing. But I don't know. Just I don't have much more to give on this article. Obviously, I pushed hard on the make Solo 2 happen aspect of it, because when I saw that quote, I'm like, that's going in the headline. I'm like, I don't care who else uses this interview and says other things about it. I'm putting future Solo in there. But just the fact that Jonas is such a good guy, and he deserves to keep playing this character, because like you said, James and Lacey, he is taking ownership of Chewie in a way that's very personal for him. It's not just, I'm a stunt man, because originally he was, get in the suit, do this, but he has taken on the culture of being Chewbacca.
He makes the noises.
Yeah,
that
learning
alone is crazy.
He may know more than Peter did at this point. And the way he really, honestly, loves playing Chewbacca. I think we talk about this a lot in the podcast. It means a lot when we see actors who really do love being in Star Wars. Last week, Lacey, you brought up how Ewan McGregor rolled off the mat and he's like, I'm in Star Wars. During the prequels. I love that stuff, as opposed to hit the mark, I'm out. Which people say, Harrison Ford was kind of like, but whatever. But the fact that he loves it so much, I really hope, make Solo 2 happen aside, that we see him continue on, whether it's with Rey in more movies or whatever.
Just let him be Chewie for the rest of his life.
Yeah, just, you can't have Star Wars without Chewie, so however they have to do it, I hope they do it. Make Solo 2 happen aside.
Right.
They are lucky that they live as long as they do.
Bingo, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Although, now we're getting ready to talk about our next story. I wonder how, like, what are the ages there? You know, I don't know if he would be alive during this period or not. But as we move on, the future of the Star Wars saga appears to be set in the past, right? So this is a story that came from the fan site Zero, and then was later kind of doubled down on by making Star Wars. The whole thing being a little bit of an inside look into what Project Luminous is. Now, we've for a long time speculated about what this could possibly be, and I think the ongoing theory was that it had to do something along the lines of like a Empire Strikes Back collaboration between all these artists, or authors, I mean to say, for like a 40th anniversary of, or something along those lines. But it appears that it's being said that it's way bigger than that, and this could be basically the brain trust behind the complete future of where they're going to take the franchise. Lacey, I'm going to start with you on this story. What do you think about it in general, like the era being 400 years before anything that we've seen before, and how it's basically being put together by this group of people?
So I guess I have some clarification questions. So
Sure.
The High Republic is what they're talking about, right? This is the 400 years prior.
So that's
is the High
that's
Republic.
not Zero's story. That's the double down on making Star Wars. He was the person that said this whole era is going to be referred to as the High Republic.
The High Republic.
And we now have two canon references as to that name being relevant.
Got it. So the idea is that the Project Luminous stuff are books that then play into what the next movies are, or we're not sure yet?
The first, as Zero's report says, that the first thing out of Project Luminous will be a video game announced in 2020 and released in 2021. So it's, and John, you might talk a little bit about this too, but like, I think this is the answer to people. We didn't write out the sequel trilogy. So because that didn't happen the way fans would have wanted it to happen, we're putting together these people. They're writing the story, and it's going to be books, comics, games, movies, all of it. This is the brain trust behind the future of Star Wars.
Right. I know, because we've had a lot of conversations on the podcast and probably the last 6 months about what these next movies are going to be and what Benioff and Weiss's movies might have been, which were how the Jedi were started and what that kind of thing looks like. I loved the detail about Jedi going to the unknown regions. We keep going back, guys, to the unknown regions. We're all about it. You guys know I love Star Wars. The thing I love about Star Wars are Jedi and lightsabers and that stuff. Not so much the war part, but more of the Jedi. So I'm all for it. I think it's going to be great. We've had a lot of teasing going on Twitter from these authors, to the point that someone said that Claudia Gray is going to break all our hearts again, stuff like that. They have meetings all the time and they talk about it. I'd love to sit in on one of those meetings. But it's very funny because they've been very hush-hush about it. Like when John and I went to New York Comic Con, they really didn't say anything. They were like, this is it. These are the brands that are involved.
Yeah, I think the only thing they
see you in
revealed
January.
that Marvel was tied in or something. That was like the only thing they were.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And then they said that we would hear about it in January. So it is January now.
Yeah.
I wonder when we're going to hear about it. But anything with Jedi, I'm all for it because we only really got like groups of Jedi, obviously, in the prequels. So I'd love to see, as that's the end of the Jedi, so to speak, I'd love to see where they started. Like some new Jedi. That would be really, really cool. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So, John, tell us a little bit about how maybe this tied in with what Benioff and Weiss were working on.
Right, because I keep going back to that because we talked about that, John. That was one of your articles, right?
Yeah. So last March, I had reported what I reported as a rumor because I only had one source on it, but it was a guy who had been involved with every of the recent Star Wars movies. He had worked on them in a certain capacity. And he had said, 95% sure the next movies are going to be Benioff and Weiss. It hadn't been revealed yet that they were for sure getting that first movie. Once that came out, that confirmed that.
How'd you feel about that, by the way?
Good. I mean, I like them still.
How often does that happen? Side note, that like someone will tell you something and you're like, I can't either say this or it's a rumor, and then it comes out and you're like, oh.
There's a lot of things even to this day that, you hear and stuff that you can't really report on.
Right.
Even certain things that aren't reportable that you're probably going to find out, that sort of thing
Right.
with personnel changes and stuff like that. But anyway.
Right.
But March last year, so it was that it was 400 years or 300 to 400 years before the prequels that it was going to be an Old Republic style Jedi-based series of movies that Benioff and Weiss were going to be involved in. They obviously jettisoned and they went to Netflix with their new $250 million deal. And it looks like they're carrying on with this project. But yeah, you gotta
give me all that cash.
Fan out
Dad
all that
cash.
Game of Thrones cash, that Netflix cash. Benioff and Weiss swimming around like Scrooge McDuck. Yeah. But yeah, so it looks like they're carrying on with the plan, the same plan, going 400 years back, Old Republic, Jedi, the same exact thing I had reported, but different people in the chair. So, and that's not new to Star Wars.
But not Knights
obviously.
of the Old Republic, right? This
It
is
is
even
not.
before
No,
that.
not Knights of the Old Republic.
Because I know that's what people immediately, like myself, jump to. That we're like, oh.
So I had people dog me on my report saying like, oh, it's bunk. There's no way it's true. Just you're making it up and stuff. And I don't make stuff like that up. I only called it a rumor because I had one source on it. But people were like, why would it be Old Republic and they're only going back a couple hundred years? I'm like, that's what the guy told me. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like I put the quotes in there and there you go. And boom, here we are making Star Wars. They're saying the same thing with 400 years. So it makes sense to me. I like this though. This whole idea. High Republic, the name's a little, I'm going to take a little getting used to, but the rule of two being in motion and being an active thing, we're going to see potentially two Sith that aren't Palpatine or Darth Vader. That's refreshing to me. And
So
seeing
exciting.
active Jedi just in their prime, like, and not the tail end of the Jedi being lost in their dogmatic ways. This is the Jedi right where they should be. That's very interesting to me. And getting to know new characters where we're all going to start on page one together, have no emotional vested ties in characters. I think fandom needs that very much right now. We're all going to start on page one together. I
like
think
the
that's
Mandalorian, yep.
Right. I think that's very important. And then, of course, we're going to create our theories and then our expectations. It's not going to happen and we're all going to hate each other again. And that's fine. But for a little while, it's going to be great. So
The first year. First year. It'll be like TFA all over again.
You're right. But I think the most exciting thing to me is that it's going to be fresh, new, probably different kind of looks. But I think it's going to have that medieval style, Game of Thrones-y type of thing, which if you think about it, medieval times ended about 400, 500 years ago for us. So it would make sense for that type of aesthetic to be like that if you pattern it to a galaxy far, far away. So I don't know, James, what your thoughts on this whole thing are, but I'm pretty excited if it winds up being accurate.
I'm excited. I don't think 300 to 400 is enough though.
Really?
In a weird way. No. I think they should have done like the go back all the way the 1,000 or something. And it does seem kind of odd that I felt like when Palpatine describes the Republic has stood for over 1,000 years, I've always took it as like 1,000 years ago there was the Old Republic and then something happened and then now this has been the same thing for 1,000 years. And now they're saying that there was a period about 300, 400 years ago where it was called something different. And that confuses me. And now I'm starting to, but then when was the Old Republic? And I know it's not Knights of the Old Republic in the games and stuff, that's different, but Palpatine says in the movie, the Old Republic. So that's what I'm referring to. And so, and that was 1,000 years ago. So the time frame is kind of iffy to me. But we talked about this on our Patreon exclusive episode that it may be somehow tied with Yoda and them wanting to do Yoda.
Right.
Right. So they have to pick that time period.
We can't go back too far. If we go back 1,000 years, that means no Yoda. So
I mean, James, Project Luminous.
Luminous
I know,
beings,
yeah.
are we? Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing I have to say about this is I understand the brain trust idea, or the what do they call that? The room where people, the think tank aspect of it.
Yeah.
But there's a couple names I'm like in there. I'm like, I'm not really sure how these people got involved. I'm down to hear whatever they want to do, but sometimes when you look at like Claudia Gray, you're like, all right, you've got like, 3 or 4 novels that people really like, and then you have like Daniel Jose Older, and it's like, okay, you did one and it was kind of iffy, I'm just trying to figure out where they like figured out who these people are, and that's not to pick on Daniel. I'm just saying it seems like it's like okay,
you also have comics people thrown in there,
back and forth. Yeah, which Charles Scholl, in my personal opinion, is one that makes sense to me.
Right. One of the best.
Right. Because I'm like, he seems to have told stories over different eras and can manage to pull this off. But, or I think he could, tell great stories in different eras. So, well, but besides that, they went forward with this, and this is fine.
Can we talk spoilers on Kylo Ren comic?
Sure.
I think so.
Because Charles Soule wrote it, and in the second issue, they talk about High Republic.
Yep.
So I mentioned that at the beginning. The High Republic has only been mentioned 2 times in canon, and they were both by Project Luminous authors. So Cavan Scott, is that his name? Cavan Scott, who wrote Dooku, Jedi Lost, and then Charles Soule, who wrote the Kylo Ren. So he threw that in there as well. Which seemingly kind of confirms what, Making Star Wars is saying about the High Republic era, but also maybe it's so close to when that comic came out. They saw the comic, they go, let's report it now, and then when that drops, it'll back up our story, even though, I don't know. I'm just saying.
The question
is,
interesting. If it was always this era, which is what Benioff and Weiss wanted to do, and they're like, well, we're going to continue with it, I wonder what happens now. Like, who is, are we getting that director announcement? Is it for this High Republic era? Who did they bring in to say, look, or writers even for the movies, like, look, we're doing this era. Like, so I know you may have your ideas you want to bring to the table here. This is what we're doing. You have to be on board with that, and you have to help us create this story and write this script and that sort of thing. So it's clear that it's not going to be Rian Johnson doing this High Republic stuff.
I don't think so.
That's because his whole thing was...
He wanted to do new stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, his whole thing was, I'm doing writing a whole new story, a whole new trilogy. Unless, things do change and they're like, Ryan, what do you think? We want to do this. Do you want to come in? And he kind of concedes a bit and says, yeah, I'll go to your era. That's possible. But I think, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Kathleen Kennedy confirmed the 2022 movie is not going to be Rian Johnson. And I think if these reports are saying what I think they're saying, these are the next movies. So that just putting the math together and lining up the dots there with lead me to think that Rian Johnson's at least not getting involved at the beginning of this series of movies. Again, we're back to that word, series of movies, not a trilogy. It was never a trilogy. It was always this series of movies. It just seems like they shifted. Benioff and Weiss, like, thanks guys, you're over here now. Enjoy your Netflix fun, and they're going to bring someone else in and just slot him in and press go again.
I think also too, if you look at it from kind of like a business perspective, if you look at like Harry Potter, they had the books first, then the movies. Hunger Games, books first, then the movies. Maybe Disney's going, look, we can make double the money if we write these book series. They take off, people go crazy for them, and then we make movies. They also have the guideline that they're written already, so they know where they're going. There's no confusion. I think it makes sense because I'm a big fan of book to movie rather than movie to book.
The report says that they're kicking it off with a video game too, and I don't know how accurate that is. But I mean,
maybe. I just think that going back to the Rian Johnson thing really quick, from my understanding of what we've talked about over the past few years and what we've heard and what's been around, it seems like Rian is a creative guy. He likes to do his own thing. He's a solid writer. He does solid movies. So why would he then go back to a period that people can tie him to something else? Why not go do your own thing? And that's why I think these aren't Ryan's movies, because he'll want to do his own story with his own characters in the galaxy, but not with Jedi.
Yeah, I agree.
John, I think you brought up a really good point earlier, which is like you're going to have to find directors that are willing to play within the ballpark that they've already created. Whereas when they went to JJ could have wrote a story where after the New Republic was formed, they all went back to the Stone Age. You know, he could have wrote that story, but within this, they would have to be like, no, you can't do anything you want. You have. This is what we're doing because we've set up these books, we've set up these video games, we have this story. We want you to kind of Gareth Edwards this and be the director, but play ball with what we're doing.
You know what? You know what makes me think why? Because of that, who I think it might be?
Gareth Edwards. No, I'm just kidding.
I would not be shocked, and this I don't know anything, but I would like it, and it would fit based on track record and history. Peter Jackson.
Oh, I would love that. Although Mortal Engines was terrible.
Yeah. And I get people will be mad that it's another white man. I understand that. But Lord of the Rings, it was an already established thing. You're coming to play in our world here, and you're going to make it work. That fits this mold here. It is a kind of medieval style era that we've seen him capture on film in 20 years ago CGI, let alone what he can do now. He's a proven fan favorite creator. A lot of it points to, and it's also, a safe choice for fans, aside from, the diversity element of it. But I think
was going to say because of The Hobbit.
I liked The Hobbit. I just thought it was a little drawn out, but I liked it.
Again, that's just me throwing a name out there, but that would make a lot of sense to me if they're like, hey, Peter, look, these guys from Game of Thrones, we're going to do this. We know that you've been rumored to have interest in potentially doing some Star Wars. You're a Star Wars fan. You did a great success with Lord of the Rings. We have this kind of blueprint set up of this era. Do you want to come play in it? It wouldn't shock me if that is the kind of thing they did. Now, whether they do, I doubt it, but I'm just kind of throwing a guess out there.
Right.
Now,
no, I think that'd be solid.
We kind of have skimmed over some of the details. If you want to go in and read what the reports are about exactly what this stuff is, but another aspect to this whole thing is it was kind of quoted as they're trying to kind of Marvelize it in the sense that each one of these, I'm not going to say it's exclusive to each one of the people involved with Project Luminous are creating their own characters, but they are kind of individually creating their own identities and group of characters and things like that. And they're going to all be spread about and then kind of connect in certain ways throughout the books and the movies and all the entire canon. So I think in a very loose way, and we're not saying Star Wars is trying to be Marvel, but in a very loose way, think of this character's working on Captain America and all the characters revolved around him. This character's working on Hulk and all the characters revolved around him.
You mean author?
And then, yeah, I said character. Yeah, I mean author is working on this character and all the characters revolved around. And then maybe down the line, things start to line up with you'll have crossovers in this movie, crossovers in this book, crossovers in this video game. So I think that's kind of where they're wanting to kind of handle this so that it actually becomes an event in the sense of if you're paying attention to one of these characters or one of these franchises to a degree, then you'll want to read all the books and other things just to be able to connect correctly to the person that you actually like.
The old school collect all four adage from being a kid and having to get the whole set of something.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, Disney loves synergy, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
They're big fans of TV to movie to book to video game to... Yeah.
And they go into the outer regions and they discover three potential enemies, the strongest of which is some sort of Sith-based thing.
Thanos.
And I'll tell you right now, that's
with a red lightsaber.
I think that's going to be what makes whatever this new saga is convincing new villain, because that's something
Bad guy.
that
Make
I've been
it
saying
so
Star
bad.
Wars
Yeah.
has been having trouble moving on with new.
I wonder if
villains.
that's why Feige's involved. But he might not be involved with this, so I'm just saying.
Let's just
I think
throw-
he is
throw it.
involved.
I mean, well, he's doing a movie. It doesn't necessarily mean he's producing a movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's producing this movie, but I'm saying he's
why-
involved with Star Wars.
You know why I think he's
maybe
not?
that's-
Because he came on in August, and maybe he had discussions months prior. This whole thing that Benioff and Wise was going to get into is at least 2 years in the works in terms of like
Yeah,
development.
that's fair.
So
That doesn't mean they won't bring someone in later if it's not.
yeah, but all indications were that Feige's like, can I come play in Star Wars and make a Star Wars movie? Not like, do you need my help? Let me come produce your existing stuff. He wants to just come in and make a Star Wars movie, I think.
I guess, but I kind of see it as, or my personal opinion anyway, was that they had stuff that they were working on for years and years, and they were like, you know who would be great with this and building out this world? Kevin Feige.
Mm.
That's why you'd bring in Kevin Feige.
The only thing
and both of those are very realistic.
Right.
I agree completely. The only thing is I don't know why I think this, but I kept hearing that it was just a one movie thing he's coming in to produce. But
Maybe it's to kick it off.
But I would,
Yeah.
if they said he's coming in to produce, I wouldn't be upset about it. So I hope.
Right.
All right, last story, guys.
Well,
Last
this is your story, James.
story.
Yeah, this I don't. Yeah.
Not that you
So
wrote
the-
it. I'm saying that you'd be the most excited about it.
Oh yeah. So this story is an exclusive from Kessel Run Transmissions. They did this on their YouTube channel, and they said they'd been sitting on it for a while with one source, and they were waiting to get that second source. They finally got the second source, and boom, they're gonna tell everybody this has been in the works. I think they even said the first season is already in done or in post-production or something along those lines, but they say that the Rebels sequel series is happening. It's an animated show. It's a blend between the Clone Wars and the Rebels design, so it will look a little bit different, but they went into all the details of what the basis of this is, with Sabine and Ahsoka going into the unknown regions to find Ezra, who's become an ally with Thrawn, and Thrawn has a daughter. I mean, like, they went into like all these crazy details, and overseen. They say that this story may be overseen by Dave Filoni as well. So, all right, what do you guys think about this, John? You want to kick it off? What do you think?
I mean, it's not surprising if it's true, I know Corey and Noah both work under the Making Star Wars banner, so it's possible they got Jason helped them with sourcing on this. I don't know. Not to say that they didn't get their own sources. I'm just saying that's possible. But it makes a lot of
Or
sense.
could be a source.
Right. This could be a no-brainer to me. I mean, this is we were all expecting kind of a sequel to Rebels, so it's not like a wild rumor that we see elsewhere on the internet, like all these random spin-offs and random nonsense that are thrown out there. This is something that people would expect, a sequel to Rebels. And I always thought it would be animated, because you wouldn't just be like, now we're going to continue the story live action. That'd be kind of weird to me. So all things being checked off makes sense that it's going to happen. Disney Plus is a big deal. It being finished, I could buy that too, because we had heard that they were working on Resistance for a couple years before that came out. So I think it's all very possible, and that's really all I got on that. There's not much else. I mean, I'm excited for you. I know you're a big Rebels fan, to continue the story, see more Ahsoka, Sabine, Ezra, Thrawn in there as well, even though I'm not big of a Thrawn fan, but like I say, everything about this just makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm buying the rumor. I think it's possible that it is indeed going down. Now, whether it comes out this year, who the heck knows? They got Mando coming out later this year. Who knows how crowded they want to make it? Clone Wars is coming out, but we'll see. But I could totally see this going down.
I don't want to make a pie bet, but it seems like something that they could announce at Celebration.
Ooh, I was going to offer another pie bet, but we'll get to that. Thursday.
Lacey, what do you think of this? Do you think this will pull in people like Rebels did?
So it's tough because I watched a little bit of Rebels and I've seen probably all the important moments in Rebels, but I wasn't like the biggest fan of it. And this to me is exciting, not for me, but for all my friends and stuff that love Rebels. Like everyone that likes Rebels loves Rebels. So I'm just like, our friend Jonah Marie has been hashtagging Where's Ezra for like years, like every day, several times a day. Mm-hmm. So I would want this to happen for her. And like John said, I think it's a logical thing to do because they left it in such an open-ended way that you're like, okay, well, what happened? Like, what does this mean? And I think often over the past few years of the podcast talking about this, especially like Ahsoka, the big question is like, okay, but what's her story? Is she going to show up in Rise of Skywalker? Is she not going to show up? Like, when is she going to get her story? And I think everybody wants to see it. So, yeah, sure, I'd be totally for it. I'd watch it. Are they going to announce it this year? I actually think they might because they got to keep people around for Disney Plus, especially Star Wars fans. And Mandalorian's not coming out till the fall. So this is something that they could launch early fall, early next year. They can announce it over the summer. Yeah, like get it up on Disney Plus. Like it could be in post-production right now.
That's what this report's saying, that it's going to come out this year.
Right. So I think they could announce that Celebration and say it's coming out in the fall or like late fall, like in December or early next year potentially. But it definitely like it just says Celebration all over it. Like Celebration.
Right. And while, we aren't saying we distrust their report or their sources or whatever, we have to say this is a rumor just for anyone watching and listening to this. This isn't, anything that's officially reported and nothing that we could vouch for from any of our sourcing. But, and again, not to discredit their sourcing, but we have to say that it's right now it's rumored that this is the case. But it sounds fun. Sounds good. James, what do you got on this?
It's funny because every time I've thought about this show happening, I always just think of it as Rebels season 5. But I'm really curious as to how they're going to make it not Rebels season 5, if that makes sense. Because in a way, you could almost say, because a lot of the stuff that happens in Rebels has to revolve around Ahsoka. And sometimes I think of Rebels as the end of the Clone Wars because she's involved so heavily. But it isn't, it's two different shows. So I'm interested to see maybe what new characters we focus on. Maybe we do focus on Ahsoka and Sabine and they say that's enough to make it not Kanan and Ezra and Hera and Zeb, I don't know. I'm interested, but yeah, I think everybody wants the answers. I'm actually surprised the show is happening as soon as it is. Mm-hmm. If it comes to be this year, because Rebels only ended last year, right? I don't think it's...
No, it's been 2 years now.
It's been 2 years now?
Yeah. I think 2018.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
My timeline's all off because it's like nonstop Star Wars.
I mean, it just turned 2020. I get it, but I believe it was 2018 they wrapped that up.
Oh, yeah, I guess you could say that. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it ended in 2018, not 2017.
Yeah, it was fall 2018, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just a little over a year. I don't know. So it's come quick and it's with welcome arms, and I like what they're doing. I like the idea of Ezra being in, friends with Thrawn. I think that's really cool, and they could set up a love story, there. That'd be really interesting. With Thrawn's daughter, they say in this thing. So,
well. I have one other. I guess I'm going speculation.
Or maybe he'll
here.
train her or something. Maybe we'll have a Chiss Jedi.
You think Ezra's gonna chiss his daughter on the lips? No, I have a little speculation. So at the end of The Rise of Skywalker, obviously we already put our blanket statement. We're going full spoilers on the podcast. Here we go. No spoiler alerts, blah, blah, blah. Rey hears all the voices, and it's all of the past Jedi who have died. And Ahsoka's voice is there, but we don't know that she's dead. So does that, to me, that says that she's dead. So is Ahsoka Tano finally going to meet her official demise after all these maybe is she not in this final series here? Because
right,
I've been a big doubter that we're ever going to see Ahsoka Tano in live action. So the way I see this happening is that this is that pocket there where you continue this story. She's like the epic Jedi. She has her big Jedi robe now and her staff. Like she's at ultimate Jedi mode for her now. The wise older Jedi or whatever. I think maybe this is where we see Ahsoka get a final like big hero ending in this new series, if that's what they're going through. I'm going to throw.
They had to consult someone to have her voice there. They had to go to the story group and say like, "Hey, can we have Ahsoka in this?"
Right, and you have to. You're leading fans to assume that she had passed because she's the only voice there that isn't someone who had passed on.
Right.
Right.
I think. Yeah. I think so.
Although,
because Kanan's there.
Rey talks to them and she's not dead.
Yeah, but she's not a... What do you mean? She's the person that they're
like,
talking
what
to.
if Ahsoka's somewhere else in the galaxy and she's talking?
No. They're all talking to Rey. It's all going to the one...
I mean,
Skype
what Lacey's
call.
saying, I thought that when you said that earlier.
Ahsoka's like, I got a call coming in.
Yeah.
Well,
Please hold.
I mean, when you're in tune with the Force, I could easily see that being possible. But it also then starts to wonder, like, well, if she's aware of what's going on, why isn't she helping? And
right, where is she?
That.
Yeah.
So I do think you're probably right, John, that we were probably waiting for Dave Filoni to figure out the perfect way to end his character.
Right.
And we all thought that was going to happen in Rebels season 2, and it didn't. And he did something even bigger and better with than we could have ever imagined with that character. But that character does not live forever, right? It's something is going to happen. My guess is nobody kills her. I think she goes in some bigger way that, you know, like she would walk through a different portal of dimensional force or something that leads her to a place where she would be able to commune with all the Force ghosts and things like that. Or I don't think she just dies. Like, I don't think someone comes along like Thrawn and shoots her, you know?
Like IG-11, he just walks up to her, blang. That's the end of Ahsoka Tano. No, I mean, if this is real, then I'm cool with that. So I hope they're right.
Yep.
Me too.
All right, Lacey, you wanna take us into the Scoundrels rundown?
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, it's back. Ready? Why are you laughing?
Oh my gosh, it's back.
Ready? 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 1, 2, 3.
Punch it!
Why do you say it like that?
All
right. So this Thursday, our sequel trilogy character discussions will continue, where we'll talk about Poe Dameron.
Who?
So get ready for that. We will be joined by John Roca on our episode airing Thursday, the 23rd of January. We're going to be we just recorded our Patreon exclusive Attack of the Clones commentary, John's favorite movie
top shelf
of Star Wars. And you can check it out if you become a patron on patreon.com/resistance broadcast. So make sure to keep an eye out. Yeah. What?
I don't like sand.
Keep an eye out for that. It's on the way. And then we've begun planning for Star Wars Celebration. Guys, we've now gone past the year mark. We're getting into single months now, which is nuts. So if you're heading to Anaheim as well, we'll have lots of fun stuff planned, including meetups, swag giveaways, and scheduled events. So we hope to see all of you there. If you're not attending Celebration, don't worry, because just like last year, we'll be covering the event in full, doing our best to bring you the experience of being there. That was a big thing for us. We did a ton of stuff to make sure that if you were sitting at home, you were right there with us, and we'll do it again this year. I'm super excited for Celebration. It's honestly the best weekend of the year. I'm not just saying that. It's
Also, like, I know he's leaving in a few months, but Daniel Kennedy's like, this year's going to be fun. He's like hyping it.
Hype. Yeah. I tweeted like a week and a half ago. I was like, 238 days, and everyone was like, hooray! It's like the common. Now that Baby Yoda is on the shelf till next fall, everyone's got that positive like celebration. So we have
like
really
the
cool
first
stuff.
transport is away, and everybody's like,
Celebration. I honestly, everybody should go to Star Wars Celebration just to realize that.
John, I loved how much fun you had. Because I've been to a bunch of them. So I just loved seeing... James, that was your first one too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, seeing you guys experience, but like, I don't know, John for some reason is more outwardly like, this is the best ever.
Well, I'm a lunatic, yeah.
It was fun watching you guys experience it for the first time. I love meeting people, so I'm pumped to meet up with our friends and the Resistance. So yeah, that's it.
All right.
So until next time, Chewie? You should have used Big Chewie.
He's sleeping over there.
yeah, we don't want to wake him up.
Yeah.
He'll go 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Chewie, get us out of here.
Okay. It is time for Ask the Resistance.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
We are finally back to take your questions. Thank you so much for standing by as we went through semi-weeks off and that sort of thing. But we are so happy to get back in the mix with your questions. Thank you so much for sending them in. If you ever want to get on the show, the easy way to do it, tweet us, hashtag Ask the Resistance. Send your Star Wars questions in. The more interesting questions or even some fun questions, the better in terms of getting on the show, because we want to make it obviously entertaining for people to want to listen to our answers and do our best to give those answers. So we're going to start it off. Lacey, you're going to go first.
Yay!
And the reason is...
Oh my gosh.
Because...
Why?
It's about Celebration a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And you're like our Celebration pro. So this is from Alex Zukas at Zubaka.
Zubaka. We have Jubakas and Zubakas.
And Zubakas.
They're brothers.
They're brothers. I don't know, maybe. So Alex,
I meant like by Chewbacca's.
Do you want me to read the question?
Go ahead.
I don't think she does.
Yeah. All right, James, you're up next. No. Sorry, Alex. No. So Alex asked, do you guys think they will have a teaser trailer of some sort for the Obi-Wan series by the time Celebration hits? Hashtag Ask the Resistance. Hashtag PieBet2020. Hashtag Pies of Skywalker.
120% yes.
Oh, okay. Here's
why. They start filming it this summer, approximately July, right, is what we've heard. They start filming. Mm-hmm. Celebration is at the end of August. They aren't going to wait to show something, because when they had past celebrations like Rogue One, they showed a whole teaser where all it was text and music. And that was the teaser. And it was amazing, by the way. If you've never seen it, you can probably find it on YouTube.
It is amazing.
It's so good. They also, going from my Disney experience from D23 in 2017. Was it 2017? Yes, 2017. They had Mary Poppins footage that they had literally flown in from the soundstage that week. Like, they don't hold anything back. So they're going to show you something. So I guarantee it, they'll show something Obi-Wan teaser related, whether it be him walking on screen and lighting up a lightsaber, his back with him looking at something, with the title sequence of what it's called. They're going to show you something, 120%. I would take a pie bet for that.
Oh, James?
Are we all answering this?
I mean, she's throwing the gauntlet for the pie bet right now.
I've got nothing to
think about
lose.
it for
I've
a
lost
pie bet,
both
man.
bets.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what.
You have to answer right now. There's no waiting. It's either yes or no.
You don't want to same bat channel, same bat time, and wait till next week and have James give his answer?
No, I want answers right now. I want right now, January.
Well, then we're going to spend the rest of the time trying to figure out the rules of what we're going with. Because you're saying they're going to show a poster or something, and it's like, this is teaser
Are they going
trailer.
to show a teaser trailer? And I didn't say poster. I said that they were going to show a logo inside the trailer to announce what the show is called. So this is a yes or no. Are they going to show a teaser trailer? Yes or no?
Footage of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the
Yes,
TV
a
series.
teaser video of some sort.
John, what do you think?
Come on, own up.
Well, I think if the show's going to come out in 2021, that's the last big event to do it. So I think maybe they will show something very brief. So I'll say yes.
Oh,
Because I think they're going to have a Kenobi panel. So you can imagine they're going to be like, you guys want to see a quick little...
so the funny thing is
Deborah
we
Chow's
both...
like, I brought a little clip.
So if we all say yes, that means we all get to pie each other if it's no.
Oh, God. Like Reservoir Dogs, we're all just pointing at one different person, and
Yeah.
I hope everyone got my Reservoir Dogs reference.
Unless James says no, they won't.
James, we're on the clock here, pal.
That's it's just stressful.
Just pick. It's not stressful. Just say yes or no. Gut reaction.
I'm going to say no.
Yes. So that means he gets double pies if we're right.
Or he pies us again because we're both morons again about the same show.
I don't care. I thought it was funny.
Oh my God, Pies of Skywalker, part
I know
2.
this is stretching out now, but I guess my thought is like they only showed Mandalorian footage like a couple months before it was out.
Obi Pie Kenobi.
But what if
And
Obi-Wan...
this would be like a year before it's out.
Yeah.
So
I'm going yes.
I mean, all right.
It could be as long as it's a brief, it could even be a very brief teaser.
It's just a pie, guys. You're taking it so
It could
seriously.
be like a cloak and a shadow. All right.
You need to zip it, Lacey. You went on and
just a
on and
pie.
on about the pie and how I was going to throw it too hard.
Can you get me a large bottle of water so I can wash down my bottle of water with it?
Let's move on with Ask the Resistance. Let's wrap this episode up.
James, listen to me right now.
I'm stressed now.
Rebel Scum Texan
He's getting pied.
at Rebel Scum Texan wants to know, how important do you think Ahsoka's story will be in the final season of Clone Wars as it relates to any events leading into Revenge of the Sith? So we just talked about her in a potential rumored sequel to Rebels, but we know she's going to be in Clone Wars, so what's the deal?
I think that her importance in the final season is going to be pretty important because, like I said before, or at least I kind of hinted at, when I think of Clone Wars, I do think of Ahsoka as like, that's her story. A lot happens in Clone Wars. It's a lot of people's, but when I think of Clone Wars, I think that's kind of like Ahsoka's origin, and like you get to see like a big thing with her. That's kind of her main focus there. So I think that we've seen trailers. We've talked about the Siege of Mandalore. We've seen that Darth Maul is still around, and I think they have beef now. It just, and the other thing too is like we know where the story goes because we've read the Ahsoka novel, so we know where she is like after the events of like 1 year after the events of Revenge of the Sith. So, yeah, I think that she'll be pretty heavily focused on in the final season. Yeah,
Nice, I agree. I am curious. Did they ever explain where she is during Revenge of the Sith? Was there some kind of thing?
No, I think I could be wrong, but I think the Ahsoka novel just says hiding. Like, felt it, went into hiding.
Craziness. All right. Next one. I'll grab this one. This is from Pee Wee Seifert. Eric has Seifert. All right. And he said, do you think we will get a Ben Solo / Kylo Ren with the Knights of Ren standalone movie or Disney Plus series with Adam Driver, or is he done with the franchise? I think he's done with the franchise. I don't think you're going to get that. I know people, obviously want more of that because Kylo Ren was my favorite character from this trilogy. Adam Driver's a wonderful actor. I think he's a fan favorite for most people, but I mean, he is already taken off on his career beyond Star Wars. He's about to be nominated for an Oscar for Marriage Story. He had a lot of successful movies in 2019 besides Star Wars. And he always kind of seemed that distant commitment to it where he's like, I did it and now it's kind of done. He collected his last check for Star Wars about 11 months ago, and I think he's had it in his rear view, with all due respect, of course. Now, will we see him again one day? I don't know. Maybe, he changes his mind and he pops in like we've seen these other actors kind of return. But I really think people should establish this expectation that the character is dead and that Kylo Ren, or Adam Driver, I should say, is done with the franchise for now. And if they were to come back, it wouldn't be Disney Plus. I think he's A-list at this point, and all due respect to anyone who's doing, live action Disney Plus stuff, but I couldn't see them pulling him in to do a Disney Plus series at this point in his career, but we'll see what happens. So right now I'm going to say
Hayden Christensen and his big movies are Little Italy.
Little Italy. I can't wait to see how the sequel, how that rolls out. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a big no for me on that one, Pee-wee. So thank you. All right, next, this is for all of us. Mike Rumore at Drum Jedi said, important question. Important question. You guys ready for an important question?
No.
Okay. Sure.
Well, Lacey, this is probably more targeted to you and me.
Yes.
Will you allow me to buy you all drinks and talk Star Wars at Star Wars Celebration?
Yes, you can buy me several.
Okay.
I think
two to be exact.
The most politically correct answer is we're not going to stop you, right? I think that's
right. Yes.
I'm not saying buy us drinks. I'm not saying no. I'm saying
yes, you should.
If you get there first, I can't do anything about it.
Right. Yeah. So that's the way. I agree. I say yes. Let's have drinks. I just have to make sure I keep my eyes on my drink from the moment it leaves the bartender to it gets into my hand, because you never know these days. All of a sudden I wind up in the back of a van and I'm on my way who knows where. But right? No.
Lacey looks like that Britney gif right now.
Oh, the America's Got Talent or whatever, X Factor.
Yeah.
Mike, we're kidding around. Yeah, we'll have drinks. We'll talk. We'll obviously talk Star Wars.
No, you're kidding around. I've been serious the whole time, Mike.
Okay. Yeah. Lacey's very committed to having 2 drinks.
2 drinks.
Or if it was at the Arc Bar, like 12 drinks. But, whatever. Right.
Okay, first of all.
Stormtrooper helmet on, doing the thing.
That was before I even had a drink. So people confuse drunk Lacey with just normal Lacey. I just do stupid stuff normally. John is the one that was like, where's my whiskey?
Oh, stop it. Mike, we welcome it. Yeah, thank you so much. We look forward to it, and we'll see you in Anaheim. So
can't wait for my 2 drinks.
All right, guys, last question, real quick now. Gareth Lee at Gareth L. Monroe said, General Leia comes to you with an urgent mission. She wants you to assemble a team and head out immediately. In all of Star Wars canon, past or present, you need to bring 1 pilot, 1 droid, and 1 Force-sensitive being to assist you. Who goes with you on your mission? I think we've answered something like this similarly.
We're all going to say the same droid, right?
I don't know. James, you go first. Quick.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, Force sensitive with me. I'll say Rey, droid, R2, pilot, Han.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Poe.
Although I tried to trick the system and I thought 1 pilot. Could I say Luke? That gets me 2 Force sensitive. Could I say Thrawn, the Chiss, call him a pilot?
All right, you gave your answers.
Yeah. We're all going to say R2 though, right?
How long is this episode? This is turning into the JJ cut.
Is it my turn?
Lacey, it is your turn.
Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, BB-8.
Okay, BB-8.
He's faster than R2. R2 can't go downstairs. Get it together.
Okay. So I am
Jetpacks.
I am going to cheat a little bit. And I'm going to say my pilot is Anakin Skywalker.
Oh.
The best.
That's your force sensitive.
Wait.
No, it's
First
not.
of all,
Yes,
Mr.
it is. You get
Han
one
is the
force
greatest
sensitive
character
being.
that's ever existed, and you're not going to choose Han?
Well, because you both did. We're
You're a fraud.
We're turning it to boring.
I am revoking Make Solo 2 happen from you. You cannot have it anymore. It is
Yeah.
now James and mine.
Okay.
You can no longer talk about it.
Okay, that's great. I'm gonna just tweet about it like in 5 minutes. That's okay.
Okay. Anakin the pilot. That's what it's known for.
Anakin. Finn is my force sensitive person.
What?
And R2D2
He's not even
is my
trained.
droid. What?
You have the worst crew.
I have Anakin Skywalker.
I have Han Solo, the greatest character with the greatest story arc ever. Patreon exclusive. If you're a patron, you know what I'm talking about.
Why are you saying it like that? Do you realize how many people agree with that?
I'm saying it because you went on and on about how Han is the best.
Lacey, there's
and
other
then you get a question.
This is for Len
about
Brown.
a
This is for
pilot-
Len Brown. There's other characters in Star Wars
About-
besides Kylo Ren.
about a pilot, and you chose
Mic drop.
not Han Solo.
Okay, we have to end this episode, so we're gonna wrap it up here. I want to thank Gareth for that question. Sorry that Lacey's getting so spicy this late in the game, but
John's a liar.
I want to thank everybody for listening, watching, being a part of the Resistance. If you're new to the Resistance broadcast, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for being a part of the Resistance. We're always here every Monday and Thursday. The base is open, so come find us. Make sure you're subscribed too, so you're not just constantly waiting for it to pop up in your feed or wherever. So Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube, all other platforms as well. I know sometimes people say, are you on this one or that one? We're pretty much on all of them. So wherever you like to get your podcasts, download us there, subscribe there. And of course, if you like to watch us, subscribe on YouTube. And leave a comment. There's a lot of conversations going on there as well. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. As you just saw, we just ran through a bunch of questions. If you want to get on the show, like I said before, tweet us at RBATSWNN. Or if you're shy, you could email us, resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. Make sure you're heading to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. All the articles from the Resistance Report earlier and all the news stories that we cover, they can be found right there on StarWarsNewsNet.com. If you aren't sick of us 2 times a week and you want some more content, we've alluded to some of these other bonus episodes that we do on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. We have 5 tiers starting at $2 a month. Go check out which tier works for you. There's a ton of different perks and benefits at different tiers. I can't even get into it now. Just hop over to that website. Again, patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Check it out. If you like it, you want to support us, you want some extra content, sign up. We appreciate it. And we want to say a special thanks to our Patreon generals, Carmelo, Brian Cholito, Andrew Staley, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, JG Kars, Seth Kime, Micah Harrison, Tampa Movie Guy, and Val Trichkoff. And Seth's doing his first pod race this Thursday, so we're excited to see him finally do that. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James, how about you, bud?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MyerTrunks. And I actually forgot to mention why I picked Rey, because I beat the system. Gareth, you said pick one Force sensitive, and I picked all of the Jedi. Because she's all of the Jedi.
I see. And she's also a pilot, too. You could have just said Rey. And if it was the Colin Trevorrow script, she's a part droid.
Yeah, I was like, she was a droid too, apparently.
Oh, gosh. All right, Lacey, how about you?
I get them all.
You could find me not cheating at these questions at Lacey Gilleran. Also now the creator of Make Solo 2 Happen. I've now taken that on as Han's biggest fan.
You can find Lacey not cheating because we're not playing Who Are You at Lacey Gilleran.
No.
All right, guys, we'll be back on Thursday where, as Lacey said, we're going to pick up our sequel trilogy character discussions all about Poe Dameron, the guy who named Finn, for Pete's sake. How about that?
That's what you go with as his greatest
That's what he's known for.
contribution.
He named that Force-sensitive guy. But yeah, we're going to have a good time there. So enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you when the base opens up again right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.
Bye.